We're live. We're just going to wait for a few people while I pick a book. Hi. I'm a lot earlier than normal because I'm tired. Still tired. I feel like I'm in a permanent state of tired. So let's pick a fun little... Ooh, what's this one? I don't like it. Sparkles. It's gonna echo. What about this filter? No? This one? Better?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, we're gonna wait for a few more people. Birds of living. Okay, I have a book. I have a book. I just don't know which one's the first one in the series. Why would you send bacon? Okay, so I have a book for us. I'm just trying to find out which one is the first one in the series. So please just excuse me a minute. And I'm going to turn this down. Hang on. There we go. Excellent. Sorry, this heat is very, very hot. So, hi, happy Sunday. I almost forgot that it was Sunday. Because I thought yesterday was Sunday. And I thought the day before was Sunday. My schedule is a little bit messed up. But we're getting there. We're getting better. And yeah, I hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. And it's been very cold, so I hope you're all staying very warm. Quick announcement before we dive into anything. Magic Monsters and Myths is back. A new episode comes out on the 13th of every month, and I've got some new exciting projects in the work. No writing updates because I haven't written in a very, very long time, and that's a little bit sad, but it's okay. So I hope you're all a lot more successful with your projects than I've been. But Magic Monsters and Myths is back. Comes out on the 13th of every month. You can watch a video on YouTube or on different podcast platforms. It's on Spotify, Google Podcast, Breaker, and a whole bunch of others. The link is in my bio, in my link tree. And yes. So I've got a very short, quick book, I hope. It's one of my favorite books. Oh, let's just talk about what this is. So Sunday, reading with me on Sundays is just a way to reset and relax and go into the new week refreshed, relaxed, chilled, and with good positive vibes. it is a way for me to practice my speaking, to enunciate better, and it's just a nice, peaceful way to go into a new week doing something that I really like. Okay, so the book we're going to read today is, if you're really trying to get into fantasy, I highly suggest that you read these books. They are called the Demon Trappers series by Jana Oliver. I will show you the cover in a second. I just want to make sure that we have the right book. Okay, we have not got the right book. I have the whole entire series. I'm not sure how many books there are in the series. So these are the books. I hope you can see it. There's a whole bunch in the series. They're really good. The last one is Valiant Light. I think the first one is Foretold or Forsaken. I'm really not 100% sure. I'm very confused about which one the first book is. But I think it's this one. Oh, nope. That was the last book of the series. Oh no. Okay. So I think this is the first book of the series. Here is the cover. It's a very pretty cover. It's by either Jana Oliver or Jana Oliver. I'm not sure. For anyone looking to get into fantasy, I highly recommend these books. When I started reading the series, I read the second book first, and then when I got my Kindle, I started reading all the others, and it's brilliant characters, it's amazing writing, and it's about a demon trapper's daughter. So a demon trapper is basically like a demon hunter. They go and hunt demons, catch demons, and then they like market them all for profit, and that is how they make their living. And it's really, really interesting. So we're going to read the first chapter. It's 11 pages. Oh gosh. I'm not sure if this is... Again, this is not the first book. Son of a duck. Which one is the first book? Oh no. Well, this reading with me is a little bit disorganized, and I apologize for that. I'm trying to figure out which one is the first one. Is it this? I have no idea which one is the first book. First chapter, Demon Trapper series. Don't laugh at me, Maxie. Book 1. Okay, so it is... I had the wrong book. Okay, I found it though. I found it. Sorry about that. This is horrible and awkward, and I'm really, really sorry. And my iPad has decided not to work with me as well. Great. So how you guys doing? Are you doing good? I'm doing fantastic. Technology has been my best friend today. Okay, book 1, Forsaken. And now it's gone. And my iPad is not working. And I don't know what to do. Should have planned this a little bit better. Okay, so here's the first page. The cover, very, very pretty. I love it. Jana Oliver. Excellent, excellent book. Okay. I hope you can't hear my brother cursing in the background. Okay, finally, I've got the chapter. Hallelujah. Okay, let's get started. 2018, Atlanta, Georgia. Riley Blackthorne rolled her eyes. Libraries and demons, she muttered. What is the attraction? At the sound of her voice, the fiend hissed from its perch at the top of the book stack. Then it gave Riley the finger. The librarian chuckled at its antics. It's been doing that ever since we found it. They were on the second floor of the University Law Library, surrounded by weighty books and industrious students. Well, they'd been industrious until Riley showed up. And now most of them were watching her every move. Trapping with an audience was what her dad called it. It made her painfully aware that her work clothes, denim jacket, jeans, and a pale blue t-shirt looked totally third world compared to the librarian's somber navy suit. The woman brandished a laminated sheet. Librarians were always into cataloging things, even hellspawn. She scrutinized the demon and then consulted the sheet. About 3 inches tall, burnt mocha skin and peaked ears, definitely a bibliofiend. Sometimes I get them confused with kleptofiends. We've had both in here before. Riley nodded, her understanding. Biblios are into destroying books. Rather than stealing stuff, they like to pee on things. That's the big difference. As if on cue, the offending minion of hell promptly sent an arc of a phosphorescent green urine in their direction. Ew. Luckily, demons of this size had equally small equipment, which meant limited range, but they both took a cautious step backwards. The stench of old gym shoes bloomed around them. Supposed to do wonders for acne, Riley joked as she waved her hand to clear the smell. The librarian grinned. That's why your skin is so clear. Usually the clients bitched about how young Riley was and whether she was really qualified to do the job, even after she'd shown them her apprentice demon trapper's license. She'd hoped some of that would stop when she turned 17, but no such luck. As the librarian was At least this librarian was taking her seriously. How long has it been here? Riley asked. Not long. I called right away, so it hasn't done any real damage, the librarian reported. Your dad's removed them for us in the past. I'm glad to see you're following in his footsteps. Yeah, right. As if anyone could fill Paul Blackthorne's shoes. Riley shoved a stray lock of dark brown hair behind an ear. It swung free immediately. Undoing her denim hair clip, she rewound her long hair and secured it so the little demon wouldn't tie it in knots. Besides, she needed time to think. It wasn't as if she was a complete noob. She trapped bibliofiends before, and it's just not in a university library. In a university law library full of professors and students, including a couple of seriously cute guys. One of them looked up at her, and she regretted being dressed for the job rather than for the scrutiny. She nervously twisted the strap of her denim messenger bag. Fun fact, because of this series I wanted to buy a messenger bag. They are amazing for carrying books and just everything and anything. I remember at one point when I was walking around with a messenger bag, I had like 6 books of them, never read a single one. And I think that's why I was so excited to revisit this series as a little bit older and a little bit more experienced writer, because I was such a huge fan of it when my mom bought the book for me. And to find out that there were so many more books in this series, I absolutely loved it. Oliver does an amazing job at writing characters. I love the characters, and no author has made me cry. 𝚆𝚅𝚊𝚝 has brought me close to tears, but no author has made me cry. But the way that Oliver writes these characters, Riley and Beck, they're just amazing, and you get such a clear picture of what these characters look like, and you step into their world. And I was so sad when the series ended. And if you really want to get into fantasy, I really highly recommend the Demon Trappers series. It's an amazing series. And I think the only reason I didn't like it as much as I wanted it to is because I am a little bit more adult now. When I first started reading it, I was like especially with this one character, Ori. He's also such an amazing character, and I loved him to bits and pieces. And he was just written so well, he would make me feel all the butterflies. But Beck, and butterflies blush and everything. And obviously when I revisited the series when I was a little bit more grown up, I really wanted it to be a little bit more adult. And in a way, Jana Oliver is the reason that I shifted my story into a little bit more of an adult genre, because there are a lot of similarities with her book and my book, where there's a lot of demons and stuff and people hunting the demons, same as in my book. I've got hunters that have specialized fields, and I feel like if you're hunting monsters, you're not going to keep curse words and drugs and drinking and everything to yourself. It's going to be a huge part of your lifestyle, because it's such an active, hard-working lifestyle, and you don't really have time to form bonds. So in a way, I really am grateful that I found the Demon Trapper series, because it made me realize that maybe I'm not cut out for YA, and maybe I'm cut out more for new adult books. But regardless, I highly, highly, highly recommend the Demon Trapper series, especially if you're looking to get into fantasy and then branch off into like maybe the Sarah J. Maas books, 𝚆𝚅𝚊𝚝, although she's also very YA, she's very safe. So maybe Sarah J. Maas and those kind of books that are a little bit more adult. J.R. Ward, although I'm pretty sure I read J.R. Ward before I read Jana Oliver. I don't know what that says about me as a kid. But anyway, we'll carry on now. As soon as I find my place. Her eyes flicked towards a closed door a short distance away. Rare books room. A demon could do a lot of damage in there. You see our concern, the librarian whispered. Sure do. Bibliophiles hated books. They found immense joy in rampaging through the stacks, peeing, ripping, and shredding. To be able to reduce a room full of priceless books and manuscripts to compost would be a demon's wildest dream. Probably even get the fiend a promotion if hell had such a thing. Confidence is everything. At least that's what her dad always said. It worked a lot better when he was standing next to her. I can get it out of here, no problem, she said. Another torrent of swear words came her way. The demon's high-pitched voice mimicked a mouse slowly being squashed by an anvil. It always made her ears ache. Ignoring the fiend, Riley cleared her suddenly dry throat and launched into a list of potential consequences of her actions. It was standard demon trapper boilerplate. She began with the usual disclaimers required before extracting a minion of hell from a public location, including the clauses about unanticipated structural damage and the threat of demonic possession. The librarian actually paid attention, unlike most clients. "Does that demonic possession thing really happen?" she asked, her eyes widening. "Oh no, not with the little ones. Bigger demons, yeah. It was one of the reasons Riley liked trapping the small dudes. They could scratch and bite and pee on you, but they couldn't suck out your soul and use it as a hockey puck for eternity. If all the demons were like these guys, no big deal, but they weren't. The Demon Trappers Guild graded hell fiends according to cunning and lethality. This demon was a grade 1, nasty but not truly dangerous. There were grade 3s, carnivorous, eating machines with wicked claws and teeth. And at the top was a grade 5, a geofiend, which could create freak windstorms in the middle of shopping malls and cause earthquakes with a flick of a wrist. And that didn't include the archdemons, who made your worst nightmares look tame. Riley turned her mind to the job at hand. The best way to render a bibliophile incapable of harm was to read to it. The older and more dense the prose, the better. Romance novels just stirred them up. It was best to pick something really boring. She dug in her messenger bag and extracted her ultimate weapon, Moby Dick. The book fell open to a green-stained page. The librarian peered at the text. "Melville?" "Yeah, Dad prefers Dickens or Chaucer? That makes me sound really uneducated. I know who Dickens is. Don't know who Chaucer is. For me, it's Herman Melville. He bored the crap out of me in lit class. Put me to sleep every time." She pointed upward towards the demon. "It'll do the same to this one." "Grant thee boon, Blackthorn's daughter," the demon wielded, as it cast its eyes around looking for a place to hide. Riley knew how this worked. If she accepted a favor, she'd be obligated to set the demon free. Accepting favors from fiends was so against the rules, like potato chips. You couldn't just stop at one. Then you'd find yourself at hell's front door trying to explain why your soul had a big brand on it that said "property of Lucifer." Fun fact, I always say Lucifer as Lucifer. I have no idea why. I just do. I'm sure it annoys Max a little bit. "No way," Riley muttered. After clearing her throat, she began reading. "Call me Ishmael." An audible groan came from the stack above her. "Some years ago, never mind how long precisely, having little or no money in my purse and nothing particular to interest me on shore, I thought I would sail about a little and see the watery part of the world." She continued the torture, trying hard not to snicker. There was another moan, then a cry of anguish. By now the demon would be pulling out its hair if it had any. "It is a way I have of driving off the spleen and regulating the circulation. Whenever I find myself growing grim about the mouth, whenever it is damp, drizzly November in my soul." There was a pronounced thump, as if the fiend killed over in a dead faint on the metal shelf. "Trapper scores," she crowed. After a quick glance towards the cute guy at the nearby table, Riley dropped the book and pulled a cup out of her bag. It had a picture of a dancing bear on the side of it. "Is that a sippy cup?" the librarian asked. "Yep. They're great for this kind of thing. There are holes on the top so the demons can breathe, and it's very hard for them to unscrew the lids. Most of all," she grinned, "most of all, they really hate them." Riley popped on her tiptoes and picked the demon up by a clawed foot, watching it carefully. Sometimes they just pretended to be asleep in order to escape. This one was out cold. Well done, I'll go sign the requisition for you, the librarian said, and headed towards her desk. Riley allowed herself a self-satisfied grin. This had gone just fine. Her dad would be really proud of her. And as she positioned the demon over the top of the cup, she heard a laugh, low and creepy. A second later, a puff of air hit her face, making her blink. Papers ruffled on the table. Remembering her father's advice, Riley kept her attention on the demon. It would revive quickly, and when it did, the biblio would go into a frenzy. As she lowered it inside the container, the demon began to twitch. "Oh, no, you don't," she said. The breeze grew stronger. Papers no longer rustled, but were caught up and spun around the room like rectangular white leaves. "Hey, what's going on?" a student demanded. There was a curious shifting around. Riley gave a quick look upward and watched as the books began to dislodge themselves from the shelves one by one. They hung in the air like helicopters, then veered off in sharp tangents. One whizzed right over the head of the student, and he banged his chin on the table to avoid being hit. The breeze grew, swirling through the stacks like the night wind in a forest. There were shouts and muffled sounds of running feet on the carpet as students scurried for the exit. The biblio stirred, spewing obscenities, flailing its arms in all directions. This is going wonderful, isn't it? Just as Riley began to recite one of Melville's passages, she memorized the fire alarm bled to life, drowning her out. A heavy book glanced off her shoulder, ramming her into the stack. Dazed, she shook her head to clear it. The cup and its lid were on the floor, and the demon was gone. "No, don't do this." Panic-stricken, she searched for it. In the maelstrom of books, papers, and flying notebooks, she finally spied the fiend navigating its way towards a closed door, the one that led to the rare books room. Ducking to avoid a flight of reference books swooping down on her like a pack of enraged seagulls, Riley grabbed the plastic cup and stashed it in her jacket pocket. She had to get that fiend into the container. To her horror, the rare books room door swung open, and a confused student peered out into the melee. As if realizing nothing stood in its way, the demon took on additional speed. It leapt on a chair recently vacated by a terrified occupant, and then to the top of the reference desk. Small feet pounding, it dived off the desk, executed a roll, and lined itself up for the final dash to the open door. A tiny football player headed for a touchdown. As a South African, I have no idea what that means, but I'm going to assume that it's kind of the same thing as when a rugby player has the ball and they're like going for the posts. That's what it means to me. Riley barreled through everyone in her way, her eyes riveted on the small figure scurrying across the floor. As she vaulted over the reference desk, something slammed into her back, knocking her off balance. She went down in a sea of pencils, papers, and wire trays. There was a ripping sound. Her jeans had taken one for the team. Scrambling on all fours, she lunged forward, stretching as far as her arms could possibly reach. The fingers of her right hand caught the fiend by the waist, and she dragged it towards her. It screamed and twisted and peed, but she didn't loosen her grip. Riley pulled the cup from her pocket and jammed the demon inside. Ramming her palm over the top of the cup, she lay back staring up at the ceiling. Around her the lights flashed and the alarms brayed. Her breath came in gasps and her head ached. Both knees burned when she'd skinned them. The alarm cut out abruptly, and she sighed with relief. There was another chilling laugh. She hunted for the source but couldn't find it. A low groaning came from the massive bookshelves to her right. On instinct, Riley rolled in the opposite direction and kept rolling until she ran into a table leg. With a strained cry of metal, the entire bookshelf fell in a perfect arc and hit the carpeted floor where she'd been seconds before, sending books, pages, and broken spines outwards in a wave. Suddenly the debris in the room began to settle, like someone had cut off a giant wind machine. A sharp pain in her palm caused her to shoot bolt upright, connecting her head with the side of the table. Damn it, she swore, grimacing. But in fact, this is where I think I learned the word grimacing. I cannot remember. The demon had bitten her. She took the cup, disorientating the thing, and then... she shook the cup. Disorienting. The thing then gingerly got to her feet. The world spun as she leaned against the table, trying to get her bearings. Faces began to peer around her from under the desks and behind stacks of books. A few girls were crying, and one of the hunky boys held his head and moaned. Every eye was on her. Then she realized why they were staring. Her hands were spotted with green pea, and her favorite t-shirt... I just noticed that it's spelled favorite with a U. Is she an English writer? Are you an English writer, Jana Oliver? I thought you were American. I'm so confused now. Oh, it's just interesting. Sorry. And her favorite t-shirt splashed as well. There was blood on her blue jeans, and she'd lost one of her tennis shoes. Her hair hung in a knotted mass over one shoulder. Heat bloomed in Riley's cheeks. Trapper fails. When the demon tried to bite her again, she angrily shook the cup, taking her frustration out on the fiend. It just laughed at her. The librarian cleared her throat. You dropped this, she said, offering the lid. The woman's hair looked like it had been styled by a wind tunnel, and she had a yellow sticky note plastered to her cheek that said dentist 10 a.m. Monday. I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm really sorry. I've got hiccups now. Riley took the lid in a shaking hand and sealed the demon inside the cup. It shouted obscenities and used both hands to give her the finger. Same to you, jerk. The librarian surveyed the chaos inside. And to think we used to worry about silverfish. I don't know what a silverfish is. Can someone tell me what a silverfish is? No, I'll Google it afterwards. Riley grimly watched the paramedics haul 2 students out on stretchers. One had a neck brace, and the other babbled incoherently about the end of the world. Cell phones periodically erupted in a confused chorus of ringtones as parents got wind of the disaster. Some kids were jazzed, telling mom or dad how cool it had been that they were posting videos on the internet. Others were frightened out of their minds, like me. It wasn't fair. She'd done everything right. Well, not everything. But biblios weren't supposed to be psychokinetic. No grade 1 demon would have the power to cause a windstorm, but somehow it had. There had to have been another demon in the library, but they never work as a team. So who laughed at me? Her eyes slowly tracked over the remaining students, one at a time. No clue. One of the cute guys was stuffing books in his backpack. When she caught his eye, he just shook his head in disapproval as if she were a naughty 5-year-old. Rich creep. He had to be if he was still in college. Digging in her messenger bag, she pulled out a warm soda and took several long gulps. It didn't cut the taste of old paper at the back of her throat. As she jammed the bottle into her bag, the demon bite fled in pain. It was starting to swell and made the arm throb all the way up to the elbow. She knew she should treat it with holy water, but the cops had told her not to move, and she didn't think the library would appreciate her getting their carpet wet. At least the cops weren't asking her questions anymore. One of them had tried to bully her into making a statement, but that had only made her mad. To shut him up, she'd called her father. She told him that something had gone wrong and handed the phone to the cop. "Mr. Blackthorn, we got a situation here," he huffed. Riley shut her eyes. She tried not to listen to the conversation, but that proved impossible. When the cop started with the attitude, her father responded with his "you don't want to go there" voice. He perfected it as a high school teacher when facing down mouthy teens. Apparently, campus cops were also susceptible to the voice. The officer murmured an apology and handed her the phone. "Dad, I'm so sorry." Tears began to build. No way she'd cry in front of the cop, so Riley turned her back to him. "I don't know what happened." There was total silence at the end of the phone. Why isn't he saying anything? God, he must be furious. "I'm so dead." "Riley," her father took in a long breath. "You sure you're not hurt?" "Yeah, no point in telling him about the bite. He'd see it soon enough. As long as you're okay, that's all that matters." Somehow Riley didn't think the university would be so forgiving. "I can't get free here, so I'll send someone for you. I don't want you taking the bus. Not after this." "Okay." More silence as the moments ticked by. She felt her heart tighten. "Riley, no matter what happens, I love you. Remember that." Blinking to keep the tears in check, Riley stowed the phone in her messenger bag. She knew what her father was thinking. Her apprentice license was history. But I didn't do anything wrong. The librarian knelt next to her chair. Her hair was brushed back in place and her clothes tidy. Riley envied her. The world could end and she'd always look neat. Maybe it was a librarian thing, something they taught them in school. "Sign this, will you?" the woman said. Riley expected a lengthy list of damages and how she'd been responsible for paying them. Instead, it was the requisition for payment of demon removal, the one a trapper signed when the job was done. "But," Riley began. "You caught him," the librarian said, pointing towards the cup resting on the table. "Besides, I looked at the demon chart. But this wasn't just one of the little guys, was it?" Riley shook her head and signed the form, though her fingers were numb. "Good." The librarian pushed back a strand of Riley's tangled hair and gave her a tentative smile. "Don't worry, it'll be okay." Then she was gone. Riley's mom had said that right before she died. So had her dad before their condo burned to the ground. Adults always acted like they could fix everything, but they can't, and they know it. And that was Forsaken, Book 1. So if you're out there and you're looking for the first book, and I don't want you to struggle like I did at the beginning of this live stream. So Forsaken is book 1 in the Demon Trapper series. The author is Jana. It's awesome, it's brilliant, and it's the best way to get introduced into fantasy. It's really an amazing series, and I think it's shaped so many people, or it's inspired me so much as a writer to kind of form my world building a little bit better. And I really enjoyed it. I'll leave all the links down below. If you are looking for me on any other platform, you can look on my link tree in my bio. You will be able to find me there. I'm basically 𝚁𝚎𝚊𝚝 on all the things. I hope you're having a lovely Sunday. I'm sorry this was awful and cringy, but I enjoyed it. I've just got to read one of my favorite series for you, and I'm really happy, and I'm at peace, and I haven't felt this way in a very long time, and now I'm going to go to bed. So I hope you stay safe. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. I'll see you next Sunday. See you whenever again. And yeah, that's it. Bye.